I thought the timer was running one earlier.
I was just testing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have
Yes.
no idea if people can hear us while the timer's going. They may hear us talking. It's fine.
Oh, let's find out. Oh, yeah, they can.
Nice.
That's funny. It's kind of weird.
It is. I don't understand the things in this thing. So we'll just not talk for a second.
Yes. Like,
Hello.
oh, hey.
Hey, we're
Are we
live.
on? Oh, we're on.
Yeah, we're on.
Oh,
Sorry, I had to cut you short. The timer ran out.
how
Uh,
dare. What a rude timer.
I know it was absolutely rude. We had to stop talking about things we can't tell people.
Yeah.
So, Steve, how
Well,
are you, dude?
I'm out of focus. I'm trying to get back in focus.
Extreme close up.
This is actually the same thing Ryan does when we do the podcast and he wants to uh fix the focus is he's like, "Oh, sit there and my camera just took a picture." So the
Yeah, it
way my
did.
camera works, fun dumb fact, I guess, mostly dumb fact is it's just taking whatever the screen feed is and then running it to my computer. So it's actually a functional camera, and I just took a picture, uh, I guess, on accident.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
that is what it is. It is fine. All right, so y'all, welcome to 6040 Live, twice in a month.
Yeah, yeah.
Insanity. We're gonna
When
talk
was the
about
last one?
I don't remember. It
June
was
2nd.
June 2nd. Okay,
This
so
is this is actually the exact cadence that we set out to do
yep, three
originally, like
weeks.
every 3 weeks instead versus every four.
Yeah.
Last week's episode was, or last time we went live, it was our, I think it's one of our most viewed lives, which is nice.
Yeah, no, it went really
Yeah.
well. Um
So,
I yeah, it was even on my over on 40 Watt channel, it was one of the most viewed lives, which is really good. Appreciate y'all hanging out,
we
chatting with us.
we have not cracked the top 50 uh, live streams on this channel.
Oh, well, for me it's not hard. I don't do a lot of live streams. So,
Man, we have not. Okay, yeah, we have our most viewed one 1,700. That's not bad. Anyway,
no.
sorry, I'm getting into the minutia here.
Yeah, yeah. Get out
Um,
of the stats. We'll worry
oh,
about
there's the
stats later.
comment. The comments always start hidden. But
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, smart mammal. I don't know where you're at, but we kind of got that scenario over here. Today, today's weather is supposed to be exactly 100 degrees where I live,
Oh,
apparently.
woof.
Yesterday, one of my friends, you're in car temperature. I don't know if their car sits out or what, but she took a picture from inside of her car,
Uh huh.
and it was 109. Okay, they're in Colorado,
Yeah,
so
we're at 91 right now here in Mississippi, and we're gonna be at 96 is the high for today. It hit
yeah.
100 yesterday.
You're in that humid 100 too, which is
Yeah.
it's a different kind
And
of.
it's humid where I am, but it's like where I'm originally from, the part of Mississippi I'm originally from is way more humid. So this isn't the worst thing ever. So,
Yeah.
but we are under excessive heat warnings for today and tomorrow. And hi, Stu. This is a No Ryan episode. The 6040 streams are just me and Steve talking about ridiculous stuff. Ryan,
Ryan has not live streamed in 5 months, so
it's true. He hasn't. We're gonna make him do it though. He'll pop up in the comments in the chat here in a little while. I'm sure when he wakes up and sees the notification, he's gonna jump in and
you're assuming the YouTube notifications worked.
that's true. It worked in Discord.
I don't think he uses Discord.
No, he's in there, but he doesn't use it.
That's what I mean. I don't even know if
Yeah,
it's on his phone.
yeah. I doubt it. I would highly doubt it if Ryan has Discord on his phone.
Anyway, hey Reagan. Let's see. Hey everyone else. Hey Steven.
Smart
I feel
animal,
like I just took
sassy,
myself.
noise bloom. Who else? Who all's hanging out today? Mike, see you there. Steven. Uh,
There's a mic. Mike must be on yours.
yeah, Mike's on mine. Mike Connor hanging out.
Oh, there's Mike.
Yeah. Levi. I think that's everybody. Hit the thumbs up. Do some chatting. We're going to sit here and talk about a couple of things. We don't really have a lot planned, Steve. We're just kind of hanging out.
I always feel like, and they talk about this in the not. I feel like we got way behind the curtain with Jason last time.
Yeah, yeah.
But the summer does tend to bring like a slowdown. I mean, the hottest two things this week, so hot that like it's not even on guitar.com yet, is Marshall releasing a limited edition of 100 for their JTM studio, like
Yeah.
hooray, I guess. Like, I don't know who asked for that, but I guess that's what we're getting. And then you were talking about Donner Prince doing a Boonar version 2. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at guitar.com. Top story right now is man who bought Kurt Cobain's Mustang for $4.5 million says it, quote, doesn't make any sense that the Nirvana frontman's Martin sold for $6 million. So,
Like what?
of course, my brain did not put this together. The man who bought, like, it makes it sound so anonymous, and so my
Yeah.
brain's been processing as anonymous.
It's
It's Jim
Irsay.
freaking
Yeah, it's Jim
Irsay.
Irsay.
Duh,
Of
I
course
knew
it's Jim
that.
Irsay.
And so basically, it sounds like he's mad that his investment is being undervalued.
Come on. Jim
Uh,
Irsay's guitar collection is the most ludicrous thing on this planet. Like more power to him. Whatever. I wonder if there's a listing of all the guitars in his collection.
I don't know if there's a listing of every guitar, but for because he does that tour,
Yeah.
that tour does have it. Also, I think the way that it's framed is like different because I think he's kind of saying that almost the opposite, that like he got a really good deal on the Mustang.
Oh, I
Like he
gotcha.
thinks he got a really good deal and that it's dumb that also guess I didn't know this. The owner of the Martin D18
Mm-hmm.
is Peter Friedman. That's probably a name that nobody knows off the hand, because whatever. But Peter Friedman is the former CEO of Rode.
Oh, I thought you meant Peter Friedman, the actor. Peter
There's,
Friedman.
I didn't know there was an actor named Peter Friedman.
Yeah, he's been in Cynic Dope, New York. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to see what you would know him most for. Uh, he was in Single White Female. He was in uh, Paycheck, Someone Like You, Love and Other Drugs. Anyway, he was also in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, 6 episodes. Neither here nor there. This is not an acting live stream, but
Oh, this guy looks really familiar.
yeah. He once you see his face, you're like, oh, he looks familiar. I'm
That
assuming it's
guy.
not that guy.
No, no. And I'm also a little confused about because the one thing says he's the former CEO. I'm wondering why he's former. Um, but I wonder if that's just because they like are no longer. I don't know. I don't know why he's listed
Yeah,
as former on Google. Maybe Google's wrong.
maybe. Let's see.
Also, I don't
I'm gonna
think I realized Rode is an Australian company.
I did know that only because when I bought my Rodecaster, they had like a promo deal where you got like this pack of additional stuff, but it
Hmm.
had to come from Australia to get to you, so it took a while to
Oh,
get
okay.
here. That's the only reason I knew. So I'm looking at this article. I'm gonna share my screen here real
Sure.
quick, just because I find this really interesting. Um, so uh, it shared screen awkwardly, but that's okay. Whatever. Y'all can see all my tabs that are open. Um, so yes, I'm looking at a 1973 Marshall. So it doesn't make sense. It was not worth that. Blah blah blah. I don't know. But I'm gonna scroll down. This is what I wanted to say is funny. I got a sponsored link to Reverb trying to sell me the guitar that I'm trying to sell.
Nice. Well, you probably look. So that's a thing that they do, right? Is when you look at ads, they
Yeah.
feed the ad back to you. You look at something on Reverb, they feed whatever you looked at back to you. So at some point in like the last 48 hours or whatever, you probably looked at your listing to see what it looked like from the public side, or
Yup.
maybe you shared that link with someone or on Facebook, and now they're feeding it back to you.
Yeah, it's really, really humorous. It's not the first time that I've been fed my own link before. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of sharing this. We'll go back to
Yeah.
cameras.
Um,
Um,
Stu asked the question, do you guys ever watch Josh Scott's educational videos? I'm hooked on them. I have learned a lot. And I watch them from time to time, I'll say, but I'm just I don't the time that he's usually posting stuff, I'm not really in a place to watch things, and then I just never go back to them.
Yeah, I have watched a little bit of them, but only because. So I bought one of the DIY boards from
Oh,
Copper
cool.
Sound, and Alex over at Copper Sound was very kind, and he sent me one of their like parts kits for a pedal circuit along with it.
And that's what a fuzz face. It's a
Yes,
two transistor fuzz.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's a fuzz face.
Nailed it.
So
You're
I
welcome,
am.
everybody. You're welcome. Clearly, I'm
so
a guitar pedal genius.
So these boards are amazing because they have the ins, outs,
Yeah.
power, LED, and switch built into them. So I'm actually going to. So I've been talking with a bunch of my guitar pedal building friends. We'll name drop here a little bit. I've been talking to Brian Wampler. I have his course on pedal building. I've been talking to Alex at Copper Sound. So I'm going to order the big version of this, the bigger breadboard, and a bunch of parts for it, because I have a couple of circuits in my head that I want to try to breadboard and see if they're worth building. I don't know that I want to get in the business of building pedals, but I have a couple of ideas that aren't out there, and I want to try to build them and see if they actually sound good. So I think these are great. They're not expensive, and I think everyone should get into it. And the fact that Josh is using those, it's such a great time to be addicted to gear right now. Used prices are cheap. There's so many options to learn how this stuff works between Josh Scott's series, Brian Wampler's series that you can buy.
Right.
These tools being made by Copper Sound. It's just a great time to be a guitar nerd. It's so cool. So let me see. Not copper. Yeah, Copper Sound pedals. I'm looking to see how much these.
I think they're like I thought they were like $75 or something.
Yeah,
But I don't know why I think that.
they're not terribly expensive. So let me see. We're gonna shop the DIY, and we're going to broadcast. Let's share this too. Oh wait, no, that's. I need to set up hotkeys, Steve. I need something to set up hotkeys. All right.
You got to buy one of those little things.
I know. I'm not that pro though. All right. So here we go. We're gonna go to the DIY breadboards. Of course, they've got some other really insanely cool things that I can talk about here in a second.
Oh, they're way cheaper than I thought.
Yeah. So you can get the smallest one for $29. Oh, $49.
No, there's a mini that's.
Yeah, oh, that's right. There's a
I think
mini.
29.
Yep. So the one I have is the small, and it is $49. You can get the medium, which is $69. The large, $89. And then go crazy, stereo ins and outs, and an expression, 2 switches, and 2 LEDs for $100.
That's ridiculous.
That's the one I'm going to order because the thing I want to build has to have 2 switches. So I'm going to be ordering that here soon because it's just really, really cool. And the other thing that he's got that I think that Alex is making is this. Substitution boxes.
What's a substitution box?
So say you're in a circuit. I'm not going to show it the screen. You can see it, but the listeners can't. So you're looking at your circuit board and you're like, "Oh, well, I need a resistor right here. I wonder what different values would sound like." You put this in that space and you can change the resistor value to just test the sound until you find the value of the resistor you like the best in that position.
So basically, I'm assuming the backside of that this is like a Veritone switch or what, it's a selector switch.
Yeah.
And the backside of it is just each one of those switches is connected to whatever value. So there's like 20 resistors on the back of this panel.
Oh, actually, it's a box. It's a whole like enclosed
It's a box.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean conceptually, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
very cool.
so yeah, conceptually, and they do different ones. They can do film capacitors. They can do transistors if you want to try a bunch of different transistors.
Hmm.
Um, FETs, ceramic capacitors, electrolytics, diodes. It's really really cool. I think it's a great time if you were ever possibly interested in building guitar pedals. Now's the time to start tinkering around. In fact, I'm going to order that today. I'm going to go ahead and message Alex and see if they have the deluxe in stock and order that today.
There's a couple things coming up. There's have actually been a couple other new guitar releases this week. Somebody asked, "Have you looked at the PRS NF3,
Yeah, let's pull that up.
aka Silver Sky Humbucker Edition?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what it
I
is.
don't.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna find a way to hotkey this. Oh, there it is. Command S will do it. There we go. So there's your Silver Sky Humbucker edition.
Yeah.
Uh, it's I don't know. I guess it's cool. I'm not into the Silver Sky, right? So I'm not really super into this, but that's okay. It doesn't have to appeal to everyone. It's kind of meh to me, but I know I can understand a lot of people being really excited about it. I like that they did it as an SE, but I also like you could have done this with the PRS and some pickup swaps with the Silver Sky and some pickup swaps. You wouldn't have gotten these specific humbuckers, but you could have done like the Seymour Duncan, I don't know, hot rails or the JB Mini or whatever I'm not up on all of my mini, single coil size humbuckers anymore.
Hmm.
So I feel like there's a lot of options you could have had that could
I got
get you
flies
here.
over here. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm flailing over here.
it's okay. They can't see you right now.
Oh yeah.
So, but I don't know. It looks cool. I'm just not into another Strat with humbuckers. They'll sell like crazy. I have no doubt they're going to sell well. So, let's go back to camera source. What do y'all think? Are y'all into it? Are you really excited about a Silver Sky with humbuckers?
If you're excited about it, don't tell us because I don't want to know. It's depressing. I'm kidding. It's fine. I just don't know. I mean, for what it's worth, I feel like this is what the Miles Kennedy probably should have been.
You know what? I'm gonna. Oh, This is where I'm gonna be weird. I'm gonna be super. Steve, you're not gonna expect this out of me. Um, the Miles Kennedy PRS has grown on me. I don't hate it.
What's wrong with you?
I know, right? Like those of you that know me know that that's surprising. I don't hate it. Um, I it's pretty cool actually. What I don't like is I don't like. We're gonna go over to Sweetwater here. We're gonna share that. Um, what I don't like is the maple fretboard. I want if they made this guitar with a rosewood board, I might be really really tempted.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe
I
not the
just
Miles Kennedy version. Maybe the more generic one,
I,
which is called
I just don't know the NS, is it the NS3 or is
let me
it
see,
also
PRS.
or NF2? NF5? It's an
NF
NF something.
53. I think Sassy gave it
Sure.
to us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it
thank you,
is.
Sassy.
53.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean
I
it's the same
just
price.
there's something about the way that it looks where when I look at, like, there's something with the angles that just are a little gross and I don't know what it is. I cannot explain it.
Yeah, this open grain finish reminds me of the Hennett that I just sold, the Revival T that I just sold,
Mm-hmm.
that just open grain. I love this look a lot. Um, if this had a rosewood board, it'd be really tempting. So I don't know. I'm not as into it. Uh, what else has been come out? We seen anything else? I don't
The
even.
other thing that's come out is the Epiphone Grabber bass.
Oh
This
yeah,
is a pretty new thing. I think Ian just posted this on your Discord, my
yeah. I think he
Discord,
did. I think
somebody's
he posted it
Discord.
in my Discord.
Um, but I think this is really interesting, and this is a choice. This kind of sits in the thing that Ryan and I have been talking about with Epiphone focusing on weirder models. This is a Gibson legacy product, so it's not like fully in. And
Yeah,
I wish they would have. I feel like the thing that makes the grabber is the pickup, having the pickup that will slide around. So they don't do that, which I don't
yeah.
fully understand. But
Hey,
but
that's nothing that a router and a new pick guard can't fix.
yeah, I know that there's rumors that there's going to be of course, this was first seen a few weeks ago on the stage with Green Day's Mike Dirnt,
Uh
and I
huh.
do wonder if there's going to be a Mike Dirnt signature to follow. That's probably going to be like $400 more. When this is already $999, so people are going to freak out when Epiphone is trying to sell you a $1,400 base.
Yeah, I've had that conversation about the price of
Oh,
Epiphone.
I
It's
know.
it's ridiculous.
I
People
think
getting
we've had it on here.
Yeah, people getting upset about the price. It's not like they stopped making the affordable models.
Yeah.
Um, I'm
You could
hoping that
argue
this.
that the $1,000 one's not the affordable model, but
I think $1,000 in today's guitar world is cheap from an established brand. $1,000 from an established brand is cheap. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't like that. But it is. I mean, we've seen Squires getting awfully close to this price point at
all
different
right.
points.
That's since you're going there, we'll go. I'm gonna go there. Is it Marshall Amps? I probably got their Instagram wrong. It's probably Marshall. Oh, it is Marshall Amps. Let's see. Is it this video? Can I
Look at you.
log in without? Now everyone's gonna know what my real Instagram is. My actual
Sorry.
personal Instagram. It is what it is. I did this to myself.
Yeah.
Um,
I also just discovered how to do picture in picture, so this is really rad.
oh, good. Uh, so people are having the comment section on this Marshall amp, which apparently somebody says it's an $8,000 amp, but who
Yeah.
knows why they think that? I'm sure it's expensive. I would guess it's like a $4,000 amp, but I don't actually know how much Marshall amps cost. So
Well, so here's the
maybe
to,
it's going to be like the Magnatone thing. It's $4,000 for the head and $4,000 for the cabinet.
right. So the Marshall
Um,
price point, just to cover this for a second, is an interesting one because when Marshall got bought out, the very first thing they did was cut the cost of Marshalls in the United States.
right.
So I
Yeah.
have I have this one behind me. It's a hand wired 1959 100-watt plexi.
Mhm.
That amp, uh, whatever, how many months ago before they got bought out, was like $3,600. Now it's like a $2,700 amp, or even less.
Right.
I
Oh
didn't
wow.
buy it. I didn't buy it new. I did not pay even a third of that original new price. I got a ridiculous deal on it. It's the only reason I have it. But now, because UK Marshalls were cheap. They were cheap in the UK. They were super expensive in the US. But I think the new CEO and the new management saw that, hey, our biggest market is the US. Why are we overcharging the US? We want them to buy Marshall amps. So if this is an $8,000 amp, it kind of flies in the face of that price reduction they just did.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, it's limited. There's just one comment I'm trying to make on here
Yeah.
because I was trying to find on here because I saw when I was looking at it on my phone, somebody saying that this was that $8,000 is affordable.
Oh yeah. No, no. Okay. So scroll back up. I know where this is. It's under the Scott Reed comment. It's one of the
Did it?
replies to that. I think it was. I think it's one of those replies. There it is.
Oh, 8K isn't a lot. Oh, where is it? By the way,
Responding.
$8,000 isn't a lot of money in 2024.
There it
Uh,
is. Inked,
yeah.
inked in Greek. The only people who say that what you just said are jealous. If you can't afford it, move on. Go buy a Blues Junior. I played 100 gigs with one of those cheap amps, and nobody complained about my tone. If I had 8,000 laying around, I would buy this. By the way, $8,000 isn't a lot of money in 2024. Shut the hell up.
Well,
$8,000 is a lot of money.
it's funny, and this goes back to like how hard it is, and this is the Guitar Center thing. This is so many other brands with their problems, where um, you've got one person in here saying $8,000 really isn't that much money. Like, just save for a couple months or whatever, basically. And then I saw another one down here that where somebody says that $8,000 is the down payment on a house.
Yeah.
Which, oh yeah, pre-order costs are probably higher than a down payment on a house. Which, I mean, I don't know where you're living that you can get away with a $8,000 down payment, but hey, if you can, props
Right.
to you. Um, $8,000 down payment is like, I don't know, that's just very low. I mean, maybe like, I guess like some places they say like you can get away with as low as 5%.
Yeah. I mean,
So
or if you're you want to don't mind living in a USDA place, you can get $0.
I
Uh,
don't even know what that you said words, but I
I
don't know what they
know.
are.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Sorry, it's
Oh, you're
interesting
good.
not to. I don't want to get too far into the housing because that just turns into politics.
It does. You're right.
Um, but it's interesting to see the different responses from people. Uh, like, oh, nobody. Like, why do you have a 6 month wait list, but you're making this insanity? Like, focus on catching up on your wait list. And then there's another one in here that's like, you should compete with the katana, which is actually a thing that I feel like most people who are in the how do we fix Marshall conversation that aren't part of Marshall, like, but
Right.
Ryan and I have had this conversation. I think you and I have had this conversation. Henning Pauly had like made a video about this a couple weeks ago. This is like the opposite, I feel like, of what everybody is saying.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know anyone who thinks that Marshall's path forward to like fix themselves is to try to compete with the katana. And to that point, other people are saying like they have that, it's the code and it sucks.
Yep.
Uh,
They do.
so I do agree. Like, why do they not have these? A lot of these amps are being made overseas. So why are their prices not better on a Chinese or Vietnamese or wherever they're having them built now
Yeah.
tube amp? We know it can be done because Bayang is doing it. Like, Bayang's making $800 or whatever Marshall clones.
Yeah. And I mean, like that was always my argument is like Friedman's making a better Marshall for less than Marshall.
Friedman's mentioned somewhere in here too, where someone says, when Marshall focused on headphones, Friedman focused on Marshalls and basically overtook them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Let me add myself back in here. Okay. Yeah. So
Craze Fandango says 8K is a week's wages for me, and I feel like that's a humble brag.
man, week's wages? What do you
I mean,
do?
if a Marshall if 8K was a week's wages, then I would own multiple Marshall amps.
Uh, hey Mario, this is a live stream that you have joined and are chatting with, not pre-recorded. So welcome to the live stream. Um, J. Paul, I have played some cheap Marshalls that have sounded good. I think they can. I notice I have not been clicking on video comments, so I can. Um, I I think you can buy a cheap Marshall and it sound good. I don't think you have to spend crazy money to get into that Marshall sound.
Well, here's what I'll say. What's a cheap Marshall? Like, what are we like?
Yeah, yeah. What's
That's
cheap?
a qualified. Excuse me. Gosh, ugh, coffee, gross. I feel like that's like kind of a like if you're thinking like Marshall MG, I agree. But at the same time, I would probably argue that from the big picture wise, like a Marshall DSL 40 is a cheap Marshall.
Yeah, and they sound
But
great.
it's also $800, so maybe you don't. Maybe that's not what people think is cheap.
Andy, you and I have different definitions of killer for money. I will concede that you can in fact kill someone with a valve state. It is heavy enough that I think you could do enough damage if you hit them with it properly. But I think that's nostalgia talking. I don't think they sound good. I just don't.
Yeah, J. Paul says in the katana range. I agree. I don't know. I don't know that Marshall's made anything in the say the sub. I don't know, sub $300.
Yeah. I don't.
It's
I
hard
don't
to say.
think.
What are the because the Origin 20 head you can get for like under 400, but then all you have is a head.
Yeah.
I guess like they made the Marshall 5s. The Marshall 5s are actually uncharacteristically good for that price range.
I think the fives are great, but also my expectations of a 5 watt amp are really low.
Sure.
I
Sure.
mean, let's just be honest. You know that you're limited in that form factor, so there's only so much you can do. What's a Marshall Code 50 Code 25 sell for? $200 brand new.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. There's your competitor for the katana price range.
But so that's exactly the thing though, is I've always heard those amps suck. I've never played one. I've just
I
like
I
they don't have great reviews.
I feel like I played one like 100 years ago. I don't remember. I don't
Well,
remember.
they've only been out for like 5 years, so
I
that's
know.
impressive.
Let me be hyperbolic, Steve. But
Oh, I
it's
guess they've been
fine.
out for 8 years.
Okay.
Anderton's do you do this when you're trying to figure out how old a piece of gear is? Is you just go on YouTube and then sort oldest to newest,
I
and you
have
just
done
figure
that. That's
whatever the oldest video is, that's how old the product is.
you know what? That's not a bad way to do it nowadays. That is not how I do it typically, though. The way I do it is I just Google search the thing I'm looking
Hmm.
for and release date. The Marshall Code 25 was first available on March 18th, 2016.
Yeah,
So,
8 years ago.
yep, 8 years ago. So the other thing we should talk about, I'm going to pull it up on my Instagram real quick, is the company that I always forget exists. I think you mentioned like they barely exist to a point. You know what I mean? So
Crate
no, Crate doesn't exist.
Guitar Center.
So let's we're gonna do this. I don't know how to picture in picture myself. Only you. So
Oh,
Donner
Donner Prince.
Donner
Yeah.
Prince is
No, I
releasing
say to
this.
caveat a little bit. I say they barely exist, but they're also Croatian, so maybe they're bigger in the EU than they are here. I have no idea.
That's really possible because most of the people I know who swear by them are EU players and
Yeah.
UK players. I know that UK is not part of the EU anymore, but whatever. So this is coming out, literally launching for sale. I think maybe pre-order. I don't know if it's a sale or a pre-order. In an hour and 20 minutes at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time,
Mhm,
11
mhm,
o'clock
mhm,
Pacific Time. This is launching. And it's another one of those things where the only price I've seen is in the comments.
mhm.
But it's a tube. Now, there's a whole blog you can read about the development of this. They actually worked with David Gilmour to develop this.
Right.
And it's a tube-driven Echo Rec style delay. I don't know how much of it's analog, how much of it's digital. Obviously, the controls are digital. Like, we know that,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
But it is not a mechanical actual drum that I can tell. I don't think it is.
It
Um,
does not appear to be.
yeah, it doesn't appear to be. But this is a $1,200 delay pedal.
Mhm.
If the price in the comments are correct.
Is that a price coming from them or a price coming from?
That's a price in the comments. I don't know 100% for sure. Uh, It's like I said, it's going to be at 1 o'clock today. So if we are still live streaming, I'm going to be looking and see if it is something I want to. I don't think it is. 1200 is too much for me to consider for a delay pedal. It's just
I
too much.
I know that some of the discussions are that I'm seeing online, people were guessing it would come in cheaper, but yeah, certainly uh current time CET is 6:42. So wait, that means it should have come out already.
No, nope, nope, nope. I think I did the conversion and it's 1 o'clock today.
Okay. I mean, it's not
I
on their
think I did.
website when we started. It wasn't on their website, so I think you're right. So
Yeah.
that'll be
I
at the end of the show, though. I'm sure
yeah
we'll still be live streaming
yeah. I
unless
think we'll be live
something.
streaming when it goes live. So we'll see.
Let's,
I just I there's like the T-Rex Echo Rec that came out. That's an actual drum rotating to create the delay, and
yeah, yeah.
I get the price point there. This I
Mhm.
don't. Like, I don't really understand where this is going to be. This is in the realm of collectors to me rather
Mhm.
than actual usage. I just don't see a delay being worth that kind of price point. That isn't like I have a couple of tape delays that I paid more than that for, but they're actual physical tape delays. One with tubes, one without. I have
Yeah.
to go back to cameras.
I don't wait. One of Oh, because you have the. Is it the Fuller one?
Yeah, I've got the full tone tube tape echo, and I've got an RE201. So,
So your time conversion sucks.
oh, does it? Am I wrong? When's it come out?
Uh, it's out right now, and it's $1,200.
Oh, I didn't see it. When I didn't see it. Let's do this. There we go.
And it's a $200 pre-order deposit. Um, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I can't.
That is a chunk. Is that like a protection? Is that like a protective cover? I
I don't
guess.
know
I
where.
mean, maybe right here they have this little shieldy looking thing
I
that
think
goes on.
that's the power supply. I think the power supply is hidden over there.
No, because in this one, it's. I mean, I think these are the same
Use the screen.
picture,
Use
right?
the screen as a judge. So to see where the screen ends, that's just a box inside the box that has the power supply.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wasn't seeing the screen.
yeah, that's what that is.
Idiot.
Stupid. Sorry. I
Yeah,
just
$1,200, man.
$1,200. I'm really excited about it because I love the Echo Rec. But
Hmm.
when I can buy the original Boonar or I can buy the Volante for $300, I don't know. I have a real hard time with this one.
They got to pay Dave back, I guess.
Yeah, they gotta pay them Gilmore dollars, them Gilmore bucks.
Yeah, not his name's David Gilmore, not David
Gil
Gilles.
less. And God, I'm so sad.
That was terrible.
I'm so depressed over
Wish
that one. Oh.
I wish they could have seen how hard I rolled my eyes,
Oh
but
wait,
I'm
no,
not gonna do it.
don't add you left, add you right. There we go. That's the correct orientation. Um,
Yeah,
Sweetwater
good.
has a Strymon package. I love this. Sweetwater has a Strymon package with a Mobius, a Big Sky, and a timeline for the same price as the Boonar. Come on.
Do they do they call it the Strifecta like
Please
the
tell me
rest of us do?
Yeah, please tell me they call it the Strifecta.
No, they call it the Strymon Big Three. They should call it the Strifecta.
Yeah, they really should. Like, come on. Like, all of us
It
call it
is
that.
it is slightly more now. It's 1377, but still,
Okay.
either way. Um, Sweetwater's doing this giveaway. This is a confession moment. They're doing this giveaway, which I think is great, where it's like they want you to fill out your wish list, and then you
Right.
could win your wish list, right? But my paranoia is such that I just feel like if I fill out the wish list, anytime any of those items goes on sale, I'm going to get a call. Even though my sales engineer almost never calls me,
Yeah.
even when I buy things, he doesn't really call me. But it's just like it's this thing where I'm like, if I fill this, if I enter this, is this like, am I going to get phone calls that I don't want to deal with? So
Yeah.
I haven't done it.
For what it's worth, every time I've entered those, they have never called me about the items in my wish
Oh,
list.
okay.
Thankfully, Sassy
Maybe
says
I should.
Strymon is now a budget line, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, and to your point, the Volante is a much loved pedal, and it is $429 brand new,
Yeah.
and it probably and I think I feel like when the Volante came out, um that was part of the conversation too, is that the Boonar is $350, and
Yeah.
so it was like, oh, the Volante is so expensive, like you could get the Boonar for less. But the problem at that time was like, if you could get, it was hard to get the Boonar because,
Yeah.
again, Europe stuff, I guess. But yeah.
So when I looked this morning, by the way, for the Boonar Tube Deluxe, it was not on their website, and it is now. So I definitely got that time wrong, or it just didn't get posted correctly on their website.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're one of those brands that I barely know exists
Hmm.
because you just don't see them all that much in the U.S. Um, let's see. See a couple of things here. Um, my sales engineer called me about the Beach Boys collection of pedals. E-Bike says the Behringer analog delay is fine. It is. It's fine. I had it. I had the analog delay from Behringer. It's great. It's plastic. The sound is not. It's good. It's not amazing. But for $25, what do you expect? It's fine.
Is it a
Um,
clone of something?
it's a DM
I'm
one.
sure it is.
It's a DM2. I'm sorry. It's a DM2.
But is it actually, is that the Behringer vintage delay,
Let me look.
or is that a different one?
Yeah, it's the vintage delay. The VD400.
Oh, interesting.
It's
Oh,
either a
okay.
DM2 or a whatever the Ibanez analog delay was that I can never remember.
Oh, the damn, what was that one called? I don't remember. It's part of that old 9 series, I think. 89,
Yeah, yeah, that's it. The
maybe.
89.
I'm looking at the Reddit. It's a Reddit link to another link. Tone start. And this is the analog delay, vintage delay. It's called vintage delay. They say is a Boss DM3 clone, according to Tone. It's supposed to be Tone Start, but I definitely am reading it as Tone Start.
Tone start. Okay, I could see it as the
Oh.
DM3. I've never played the DM3, but I mean, sure.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The Behringer stuff works. I don't love them for a host of reasons,
Yeah, yeah.
but
There's
it
a
works.
bunch of good reasons not to love them, but um,
I, I,
DM3, yeah.
I, I still think, very briefly, and I already know what their response would be. I do wonder if with the trajectory of things, if in another 5 to 10 years we will look at warm audio the same way that we look at Behringer. And I already know that the folks at Warm Audio, their response will be that every single one of their pedals is in Sweetwater's top 20. So who cares what my opinion is? And
Yeah,
and to some extent, they're right.
yeah.
You
To
know,
some extent, they're right. People are buying it. It works. Uh, I have opinions. I don't think it's cool. It's I don't think it's cool to make clones of pedals that are still being made. That's where I land. I don't think it's cool.
Unless it's a tube screamer.
Well, no. I mean, I don't think it's good. The circuit itself is fine. Don't care.
Right,
That's
right.
the world we're in. But to make them cosmetically look like pedals that are all still available doesn't work
Hmm.
for me. So when
Right.
you make a Zen drive, or you make an OCD, or you make a XYZ pedal that looks like the pedal that the circuit is cloning, when they look the same and that pedal is still
Sure.
available, not cool to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's it's just the way it works. Sassy says the JHS Klon. It doesn't look like a Klon though, and also the Klon isn't still available.
Is there a JHS Klon now
It's
again?
the
Or are we talking
Nauticlon.
about the Nautic
The
the
Nauticlon
Nauticlon?
is JHS's Klon pedal.
Yeah. And
So
that's a really interesting one because I know that, you know, the original JHS Klon is $1,000 at Guitar Center.
I sold mine for
Uh,
$1,000. The day Josh put up his video like 3 years ago where he compared it to the original Klon and they couldn't tell the difference, I listed mine for $1,000 and it sold in 24 hours.
oh, that's wild. But I know the original one was the original JHS Klon from like the early 2010s was a pedal that, from what I understand, he was making it, and that Bill specifically reached out to Josh and was like, "Hey, can you not?"
So
And so Josh stopped making it.
act
That's the story I've heard. Again,
so
I don't know the.
what used to be on the website, I don't know if it still is anymore for JHS. What Josh said is that he would make the JHS clone pedal
Mhm.
until the Klon was available again from Bill. So when the NKT came out, is that right? NKT? No.
KTR.
KTR, thank you. NKT is a transistor. That when the
Yeah.
KTR came out, Josh was like, all right, it's available again. He stopped making the JHS Klon.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Hmm.
was what happened. He had made the promise that if Bill starts making clones again, he'll stop making his. And so he did. And it was a good pedal. I don't think it sounded any more special than any other clone out there.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah. Justin Jolkowski says, "Would you prefer they just say which pedal they cloned?" And I think it's so hard. You know, I I I admittedly I recognize that when I talk about this stuff, I am not consistent.
same.
That there are, you know, is there that functionally there probably should not be a difference between um, copying a circuit versus copying a style,
Yeah.
right?
Trade
Like,
dress.
and I know legally like there's a difference, but I don't necessarily think the legality of something should be the baseline for directed morality. It's an easy baseline to establish, but that doesn't necessarily make it moral. It just makes it ethical.
Yeah.
And even then, maybe it doesn't even make it ethical, right? Um, so, so I think that's kind of where this gray space is, and I think some of it just comes down to like small things that can rub you the wrong way. You know, it's you know, Fuzz Justice says I didn't have a problem with the warm audio OCD, and I'm sure that warm audio's argument, based on their older arguments, would be that the warm audio OCD is a version 1, and that the current full tone OCD is like 1.8, or is
Two.
it 2
They're on
now?
two. Yeah, they're
No,
on two.
2. So it's not even the same circuit. You know, that's kind of the argument, right? So, and to Warm Audio's argument, I guess, to their credit, is they're functionally, from what I understand, kind of doing the Reverend thing in the pedal world, right? They're having their stuff built overseas, or the PRS SE. They're having their stuff built overseas, but it's undergoing like final inspection on the state side. It's also what EHX does.
Yes.
Um, so then it's kind of goes into this space of trade dress, because that's all you really have left. Is you either dislike this company because they um, because they're like trade dress or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Now what's changed is I know Warm Audio is also a lot, I think a way more like their bread and butter is in the studio world. And I know
Yeah.
they ran this ad a while ago. I'm talking way more about this than I really wanted to.
You got started.
Um, but it's called the Warm Audio WA1B. I think is the I'm trying to find the ad so I can post it up. And I'm not finding it, but basically they ran this ad for this compressor, and the Warm Audio version's like $1,000, and the thing it's cloning is it's called this TubeTech compressor CL1B.
Uh-huh.
The thing is the CL1B is still made.
Right.
It's just made by hand by this company that puts out like one of them every I don't know, like one, like they make these, they're on like a 12-month wait list because it's a hand built compressor and all this stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so
And it's
and so that was
extremely
really
expensive.
right. And so that was kind of, I think, the first product where Warm Audio, and I'm not finding the original magazine run, but that's like the first one where they basically just straight up said like the company that makes this is too slow, so buy ours. Like why wait? Buy ours.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. And you see some of those arguments around things like the King of Tone, and clones of it, which again, I know Mike has differing opinions, but if you want to build a King of Tone and sell it, that's fine. Don't make it look exactly like the Analog Man.
Yeah.
There, done.
Yeah.
Super simple. You could build it part for part if you want to. I don't care. Just don't make it also look like one, because then you start edging into, not quite there. You're edging into counterfeiting though. You're right there up against it. The only difference is it has your company name and not their company name.
Yeah.
So, anyway, and yeah, I love this. Fuzzhemp says, Justice says, 1-to-1 muffs if it's older versions in a cool case. Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time, every day, and that's fine. Again, I don't have a problem with people doing the same circuit because, I mean, it's a little unoriginal. It's a little derivative. It's a little. I feel like you don't have faith in, coming up with something yourself, and you're just playing to a market.
Yeah.
But
I think Warm Audio also said that their blue was like they made some tweaks to it, so it's not exactly the same. That was part of like that's always in their justification is that well we actually don't use the exact same circuit because we changed some of the parts and whatever, which is the
yeah,
same thing everyone does. Like if I put out a tube screamer, I'm not saying
yeah,
I'm ever going to build pedals, but if
yeah, you are.
theoretical me started a pedal theoretical me starts a pedal company and I make a tube screamer, like I'm not going to do a 1-to-1 TS808. I'm going to, I'm going to swap one resistor for a different value and be like, no, it's new. I fixed the tube screamer with just this one trick that cost me no change in cost because I changed one 10-cent part for a different 10-cent part.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
it's.
I don't know.
I mean, there's only so far you can take a circuit to change it until you just really need to come up with something different. Because there are still, I know this is hard to believe, but there are still original ways to distort a guitar signal.
Yeah. Sassy says, what happens if we cancel everyone, whoever had a shite opinion? Um, I mean, sometimes when I look at the way like the summer slump works for YouTube, it feels like we're getting canceled for having shite opinions. But
Oh, Here's the thing, Steve. You can't slump if you never batted well to begin with. That's where I sit.
Oh my gosh.
If you never hit higher than 200 to begin with, you're there is no slump.
That that's rough.
Oh,
That is rough.
yeah, but that's I get it. That's the whole different builders. We're like, oh yeah, copy their circuits because it's fine.
Yeah.
I make this argument. Yes, some people have some really trash opinions, and sometimes they feel the need to express them. That does not give anyone still the right to infringe on their trade dress, regardless, because then you set a precedent that, oh, I can infringe on it if I just don't like them.
Sassy just made such a amazing inside baseball comment. I love it. Mendoza pedals. Yeah,
I love it.
someone out there who's there's a company, I forget what they're called. Is it Flux Pedals maybe? And I think all they're doing is buying like Mosky or whatever Dolamo pedals in mass
Uh-huh.
from like AliExpress or whatever, and then slapping a sticker on top of it to like change the branding.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I've seen these on my local Craigslist.
Is this, hold on. I'm going to share this and you tell me if this is what you're talking about.
Maybe it's not Flux because I don't
Okay.
think it's.
Because these are Flux effects. So I love this though about Flux. What is home? Give me 1 second. Oh, it looks like we're gonna have our guest, but I'm gonna invite them in here. But we'll start here. We don't just create effects; we create ambience. This ambience is fluid. It flows like waves. It's alive and organic. Shut up! I hate marketing speak. I hate it so much sometimes. It's absolutely ludicrous. So are we ready?
It's called flow pedals. So it's
Flow pedals.
flow pedals on reverb, literally just slapping stickers on Dolamo.
Love it.
Dolamo? I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yep, I see the we'll share this real quick and then we will get to their next topic and a
Yep.
guest. So here we go. Flow pedals on reverb, literally just slapping stickers on Delamo pedals from eBay and charging twice the price.
Yeah.
It's literally just a sticker.
Yep.
It's
They should have. See, what they should have done is gooped the circuit board, increased the price, like tripled the price, and then nobody would know. Nobody would know. How would they know?
How would they know?
Are
Yeah,
they nice stickers? I don't think they're nice stickers.
yeah, they
look like
don't
nice
they don't look
stickers.
like great stickers.
They're not like vinyl grade. They're not vinyl stickers.
All right, so we have a guest. Let me see where I'm gonna add Mercedes. Hello.
Hi. How you
Hey,
doing?
there we
Doing
go.
well.
Good.
So, Steve, you initiated this one because Mercedes has opinions on tone
No,
wood.
Mercedes initiated this one because I guess Ryan. I don't know if that's because Ryan and I have bad opinions on Tonewood, or maybe we have great opinions on Tonewood. But I guess because this is your first time on here, I know a little bit about you because we've chatted a little on Instagram. But just can you give like a 30-second rundown of what you're, because you have some kind of big ties in the business, bigger
A few.
so let's start with that. Let's start there.
Well, really quick, let me ask. This is the first time using my Lewitt gear. Do I sound okay? Is everything
Yeah.
okay?
It sounds good. Everything sounds good.
Yeah.
It's
That
at
wasn't a
a
plug. That's the truth.
I'll plug them because I love Lewitt gear. I've got a bunch sitting around here that I use for different
Yeah,
purposes.
that's what I'm using. That's what
Yeah,
I got.
this is great, and the new one is the smaller one that they've got now is really, 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 really good.
Nice.
Anyway, I digress.
Okay, so I was born into the industry in Escondido, California. I was born into a house that had V's, Explorers, Gary Moore Gold Top. I did guitar shows all my life, helping my dad. And probably 2015, I took over this vintage store, which is actually down the street from us, and kind of rebranded, and we took off. Then from there, I got picked up by a little boutique art company here in town. And that's where I learned all about tonewood. I started as sales, and then they kind of gave me the exotic wood department, and I got to go shop wood at NAM. I went down after that, did marketing for Pipple Audio for a while, and now I am doing marketing and a bunch of stuff at the biggest little guitar store in Canada.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
that's
is okay,
me.
now I have to ask though, is that a legitimate fact or a marketing slogan? Like littlest
Um,
big guitars? I'm joking mostly,
no,
but
it is. It's a fact.
yeah.
Let's just say I wouldn't be there if it weren't a fact.
Yeah. I love phrases like that because I had Nully from Collings Guitars on my podcast at one point,
Yeah.
and in talking about Collings, we were like he said we are either the biggest boutique brand or the smallest mainstream brand. We don't
Right,
know.
right. Big box, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So I was piqued to talk to you guys because I don't think personally the tone with debate can ever be settled.
I 100%
Because
agree.
yeah, I've been, whether it's I came into a collection at my vintage store of about 40 like jazz boxes, like right around the time when Epiphone was, swallowed by Gibson. And so I'd have two of the same thing. One was like an Emperor Zephyr Regent Deluxe. And then when it was in Kalamazoo, it was something else. So to see the construction of those guitars and how they held up, resonancy, tone, and all that stuff, and what they were limited to back then in terms of supply, in terms of
Hmm.
wood, in terms of um, crafting, it held. Then I
Yeah,
went to a factory, and there are all the rules. You don't mix this with that. You don't do this and that. This wood's going away. And then I got to go to Fender Custom Shop and walk the wood department with Kotzen. And he totally changed my mind about all of that stuff. And I think every builder, every craftsman has a different opinion, and it can't be measured. But like, if we're going to talk about tone wood, let's talk about finishes. And when you throw, candy apple red is 3.
yeah,
So is that going to choke it? Like how much it's important, but how important is it when you're going to go and do that?
Wait, what do you mean? What is candy apple red is 3? What does that
it's
mean?
three finishes because you have to put a gold, then you have to put a red, and then you got to put a clear.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
Yeah.
there's
know that.
three different
Or
finishes.
silver.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, or silver. It's gold or silver
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah.
Anytime Fender uses candy, apple, candy, whatever finish, it means
Mm,
there's a layer
mhm.
of gold or silver underneath the color coat.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
But what I found really interesting is I've been really blessed in the past year to be able to, become friends and pick the brains of like Ben Leggett, Ron Thorne, Mike Stevens, these people, and I get to ask them these questions, and they look at me with some of these industry like stigmas, like that's no.
I
Like sometimes
watch.
I just pull wood and put it together, and it sounds good and it turns out great. And look at their builds.
Yeah. I think that's a really big thing is like what's the end product? Either the
Yeah.
end product sounds good or it doesn't. Um, but also the video that I was a year ago or so that broke Tonewood was the Jim Lil video, and I recently rewatched that video,
Uh huh.
and there's definitely differences that I hear in the video and I realize like the conclusions that people made about the video, Jim doesn't make those. Jim just records a bunch of stuff and publishes it, and he doesn't actually
Give an
he
opinion.
doesn't really
Call
make
shots.
well, he
Yeah.
he drops a couple opinions, but it definitely I mean there's certain parts of it where it seems like the pickup choice is overwhelming any other subtleties that you might hear. I forget, he used some antiquity Seymour Duncan, so I don't know how much obviously I think pickup has a lot of impact on tone. It's why I don't play
Me too.
Seymour Duncan Invaders, right? But it's not 100%. And there are definitely things in that where with his style of playing and everything else, there's one point where he plays a 2x4. Like it's just a 2x4 with a neck attached to it. And to me, it sounded very different from his like custom build. I think his benchmark guitar was a Tom Anderson. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, that's a pretty damn fine benchmark guitar.
Right.
So and to Coyote Stardust, he's saying like Jim Lill ran an experiment, but it's just one. And I think it's an issue where I don't know what, like people say like, oh well, if you're gonna prove tonewood, someone should just run an experiment. And it's like, you could run an experiment, you could run multiple experiments. I don't think it's to your, like you said when at the beginning, like it's not actually going to solve anything. If you I would imagine a proper experiment would involve um some using some system that would like always like consistently hit a string.
Yep.
And then you're out, instead of having an output to sound, you're going to have your output go to an oscilloscope and you're going to measure that. And
Right.
then even if your oscilloscope came back wildly different results, you're going to have to find a way to record that. And you're always going to have, you know, a good chunk of that population go like, well, I don't care what the oscilloscope says, I didn't hear a difference. So whatever whatever the scope is picking up, you can't hear it anyway. And
Yeah.
let's be honest, half of the people who say tonewood exists blew their ears out at Led Zeppelin in 1980, and the other half that say tonewood doesn't exist also blew their ears out at Led Zeppelin in 1980. Like I'm gonna like what. Yeah, I just, you know, so I know my hearing is mostly toast above, I think 15.5K. So if there are differences that are in the high, you know, upper mids and high end frequencies of a guitar, I probably don't pick those up as
Pick it
well as
up.
like
Yeah.
my 14-year-old would.
So Mercedes, I have this question because this is the way I've started to look at it, and I think of acoustic guitars. So think of, you know, a classical guitar that has like this paper thin top so that it can resonate more, right? And then by the time you move from that to say a guitar like a J45 or a Martin D18 or, you know, a well-made, or even go like bourgeois acoustic guitar, the brand, not just bougie. They But the tops get a little thicker because they need to last a little more, and they're played with steel strings, but they're still
Right.
pretty thin. But then you get to, and I'm not throwing shade at any of these companies I'm about to name, but then you get to like a affordable line of like Takamine or Ibanez or Fender acoustic guitars where they've had to put a even thicker top on it. The wood isn't as good. The tone does get duller. My
Yes,
question
it's
is,
muddied. Yeah.
yeah, by the time you get to a full size Telecaster,
Yeah.
that guitar is just not resonating.
Right.
Like, how much difference can it really make?
I don't think so. Here's a story that I have, and this is what I wanted to tell you guys, is I got two 60s Mosrite. They were like sales models. It's like the Ventures, but they were sales models. So one was this beautiful sparkly burst, and one was, they did kind of like a Buck Owens, but only because they didn't want to carry three guitars, red, white, and blue, door to door. So they did like a Buck on this one. Sandcast Fibermute. Guess what? That thing, those are like $30,000. You know what the wood is in those? It's driftwood that Semi went and got out of the Kern River. And if you saw it stripped, it's insane. And they rip.
Yeah.
And they go for a lot. But it's like they were just going to lacquer the hell out of them. And that's what they did. So this tone wood debate, it is important. There are certain woods you don't want to mix, even though some of the legends have told me that's not true.
Yeah.
But I'll leave that to them. That's for them to do. I couldn't put that together. But that story always comes up, is that's how they did it. And so
Right.
anytime I see these like tone wood zealots, I'm like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a second. So that's why I'm like here to say, like, I don't know if we can ever decide certain
Hmm.
factories, certain craftsmen, loothers, builders, they have their rules and there's all the stigmas, but I still am trying to learn about it, but I've learned more about tonewood being away from it.
Right,
And I
That
right.
makes
have,
sense.
it's so funny. It's like being away from it. And I'm a big like 60s Tysco. I love all that MIJ
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I love that stuff. And God knows what that was made of.
Yeah, who knows? We literally don't know, like on some of those.
The way that they all came over from Japan, you'd think it'd be, is it Polonia?
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that really
I mean,
soft stuff.
there's some of those I've picked up too that are a little later that they're just made out of like actual plywood. Like they're just 20 15 layers with a solid piece of wood and then like a layer of just like glue and then your next piece and it's just like, but either it works or it doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, Dana
and
was using like poplar, right?
Yeah.
Early
yeah,
on.
they were using that, and then at one point they were doing, somebody mentioned like, and Montgomery Wards did the same thing. Or Dan Electro at one point was using masonite. And then Montgomery Ward's, of course, like the Jack White, the famous red map guitar for the White Stripes, was a resin glass.
So funny.
It's like a wood core coated in epoxy, basically.
Right.
Hey Cole, if you are on your phone, you can't on your phone on YouTube mobile. You have to be in a browser, otherwise you
Yeah,
can't tag
Cole.
people. Just letting you know. Yeah, Cole. So Rhett Scholl did a video recently where he took a guitar, had Sweetwater send him some spare necks to swap out with, rosewood versus maple versus, I think he did baked maple, torrefied
Yeah,
maple, whatever you want to
yeah.
call it. And I'll be honest, I heard a difference. I heard a pretty massive difference. But the thing you're changing the whole neck. It's not just changing the fingerboard
Right.
wood.
Right.
You're changing everything about the neck. So I think that's why the debate will forever rage on. There's no way to truly do an empirical study where you can limit all of the variables. You can only limit so
Right.
much.
Yeah.
Like the one I like to use is everybody used to trash basswood
Yes.
because
Hmm.
that's what a lot of Squires were made out of because it was cheap and affordable. Well, guess what? I have a Grez Folsom that's made out of
Hmm.
basswood, and that guitar is freaking amazing.
Everybody uses that.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
uses that for any solid color. Like everybody uses it.
I have the right directly behind me is my Jag Sting, and that's made out of basswood, and it's definitely soft. That guitar, if you want a relic poly finish, you need it to be made out of basswood because that stuff collapses. But I mean, yeah, it is interesting because like I started my guitar journey really seriously probably around 2000, 2001, and basswood at that point was exclusively used on the Fender Japan stuff or just things that were like imported. And it was like, well, basswood's not as good as ash or alder or any of this other stuff. And people are pointing out in the comments like everyone this sure
Sir.
I can
It's
never
sir.
pronounce the sir
It's stir,
mod.
and that's what I'm referring to. A lot of they use basswood, and it's great.
Yeah.
That's how I learned
And
about it.
and Ernie Ball uses a lot of it for
The
their Music Man
Petrucci's.
stuff now, and
Yeah.
it's kind of wild to see that, and that is kind of that perspective where, and then going back, like we talking about Fender and their 60s stuff, the 50s stuff, it's all pine. Why? Because that's what Leo could get.
Yeah.
Like that's
Right.
the legend, right?
He
Is he
picked
just
the
used
cheapest
whatever the
thing he
cheapest
could.
wood was.
He picked the
Yeah.
cheapest woods he could. That's why they started on ash, and then when ash was more expensive, they moved to alder, and
Alder,
then when
yeah.
alder was more expensive, they moved to poplar. When it's like Fender has used so many different woods over the years, just in that start up from 1950 to 1965, just in that
Yeah.
15 years, they changed everything, but yet, because those guitars became so popular, we have elevated those woods in our minds, in
Hmm.
the zeitgeist of guitar that in order to sound like a Fender, it's got to be
It's
swamp
gotta be,
ash
yeah,
with a rock maple
yeah.
neck, and it doesn't. None of that makes sense.
I think if you were trying to do a true like, and this is a thing is supposedly people. I get this thing sent around that there's this German electro acoustic scientist that's actually studied all this stuff, and but the problem is you have to be able to like read German to understand it or something. I don't know, but he there's actually he actually
Spinnst
did
du?
a what's that?
Spinnst
Oh,
du? That means, are you crazy? That's
oh
all I got.
yeah. But so apparently some German guy has done this study on tonewood, and I haven't read it. But just thinking about all of the parameters like that, I feel like you would need to test in order to do it. And this is talking about the pine, talking about these different things.
Yeah.
Some I always thought the Fender Light Ash series sounded really good. I don't know if it was the wood or what. I think the Squire CV Telecasters that were made out of pine sounded really good. Again, is that the pickups? Is that the wood? I don't know. Um, I don't know what percent of what, but the big picture of it all is there's. I think there's just too many variables even to test, and so I don't think you can necessarily at a worst conclusion. I don't
Novo,
know.
don't do that to me.
It's
Don't rub that in
pine.
my face.
It's
Sorry to interrupt,
pine.
but don't rub that in my face.
It's
It's
pine.
pine.
Yeah, I
It
think
sounds
that
great.
I think that the problem is for me is as soon as you like one of my jobs, like in my real life job as a working in biotech, is to look at experimental designs and be like, here's all the stuff that's missing. Like, here's what's missing. Is it acceptable that that it's missing? Like, sometimes we run a study and we say we're just going to acknowledge that these gaps exist, and
Yeah.
that will be part of our conclusion. So, out of the gate, I'm already thinking with these things, and you think about 70s Gibson versus 90s Gibson. Like, why is 90s Gibson the Goodwood era, but Norland, every Norland body weighs 15 pounds, right? Like there's this
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
It's the same wood. So even as soon as you say like, well, tone wood doesn't exist, you have other problems. Well, then if you're saying like the 70s Norland stuff, I'm not saying it does sound bad, but the conception is that it's heavy and it sounds bad.
Yeah.
Um, and it's all because of the volute, this little extra like half inch of wood at
Right,
the
right.
at the headstock or whatever. Um, as soon as you get into that, it's like, well, you're not even talking. You're talking about like specific sorts of characteristics of the wood that maybe you can compensate for, and maybe you can't. If tone would, and that goes back to I've heard people argue that certain eras of Gibson are better because the maple cap is thicker.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing too. And so it's like, well, how do you compare light ash then to maple to mahogany? If you're saying tone wood doesn't matter, then to me you have to prove that that's other characteristics in the wood that are more important, that
That
maple
exactly.
versus
Good
maple
point. That's
versus
a good point.
mahogany doesn't matter. But if you'd have now you have to measure the density of the wood, which sounds like everything just turns into a pain in the ass. And so then when people say like, well, Paul Reed Smith has a warehouse full of wood, he should just test it. It's like, why he's not going to make money from it. It's just going to
Right.
be a social media stunt at the end
Yep.
of the day.
Well, I remember speccing out the customs, and we had to dial in. I had to, what do they call it? Fashion police to make sure the specs
Mm-hmm.
added up and everything from like electronics to the wood. And then I turn around and we're throwing like a walnut top on it. I'm like, well, like I had to go down and like hit the board. Does it resonate? And I'm like, I'm in a factory right now. Like you can't hear anything. And it's like, well, which one? I'm like, oh, I guess this one. And it's like, all right, let's get a girl. It's like, oh my gosh, you're just like, we're so worried about resonancy and tone and wood. And then we're throwing some wild, beautiful figured top on it that might throw that all off. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe with wood, it'd be cool if we could somehow gauge that, which some builders say they can do that by
Yeah.
hitting it. I'd
Yeah.
love to know. Like, I don't have an opinion about it. I'd love to know, but it was like, what are we doing? It
Yeah.
looks great and it actually rips, but it's like, is it really that important when
Yeah.
we're mixing woods like that or
I've
capping it or doing candy apple red, for instance, or like these wild drips or glitter? Like, glitter do.
to me, I think it's far more important, and this is blasphemy to the hardcore tonewood snobs. I think it's far more important for us to pick woods that are, again, like Steve talked about, lighter, because that was the issue in the Norland era, is that they had run out of all that old growth that they had been using, and they were using scrap wood and cheaper wood and stuff that was just denser cut, and so it was just heavier. And also, they started doing wild things like the 3 and 4 piece, 5 piece bodies, and
Bodies, yeah.
whatever they could pancake together. The move to maple necks also, while it's sturdier, it's just heavier than a mahogany neck, just in
Right.
general.
Right.
So, but what we're better off doing is looking for wood that, one, first of all, is hard enough, whether that's through a torrefication process or just naturally the wood is hard enough, light enough to not be a hindrance to playability, because I picked up a Heritage. It was one of like the original runs, like when
I love
Heritage first got
those.
started, at a guitar shop in Alabama, and that guitar was 12 pounds. It was a Les Paul style.
Wow.
I forgot what the H1 something. I don't remember all the models. It was a 12-pound guitar. It was heavier than any Les Paul I'd picked up, including 70s. It was like
So I
12,
was
12
just
and a
going to
half.
say,
Yeah.
70s? Hold on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So pick wood that is light, is hard enough to handle the string tension and the hardware and all that, and if it's going to be a transparent finish, looks good enough to do it. Then you're done. I
You're
think
done.
any wood can sound good. People are making bamboo acoustic guitars that sound great if it's done well.
Right.
The craftsmanship's more important than the wood.
Amen. And pickups to me, too, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh yeah. No. Well, that's where I
Those
get
are
really
my most important.
mildly controversial. I believe that on a guitar, I firmly believe this. Anything that
Here he goes
touches
showing off the Novo again.
Hey,
anything that
somebody's calling. Just kidding.
anything that touches the string or converts the string into electrical energy is more important than the wood of the guitar. The saddles, the frets, the nut, and the pickup and electronics are
Well,
more important than
is
the
that
wood.
is that a string through body?
Yes.
So the strings
The
are touching the
ferrules.
wood.
The ferrules
The, st-
matter. The
the
strings don't
strings are
touch
touch.
wood. They touch
They're
metal.
touching. You don't think they touch wood in the channel between the ferrules and the bridge?
If they were cut right, they don't. If
Oh,
it's a straight shot from that metal lip of that bridge to the metal ferrule, they don't touch wood at any point.
I don't know. I don't know.
They
I guess
they
I've
probably
never looked. I've never
they
looked that
probably
close.
do. They probably do. But I'm just saying. I'm being contrarian just to do it. Um, so, but that's my opinion. I think the material of your tuners matters.
So
Anything
does
that
Paul.
touches the string. So does Paul. Yeah, that's right.
Wait, but for Paul, it's not the material that touches the string. It's the material that touches the tuner that touches the string. So that's the thing. Everything that the string touches is touching wood.
It, oh yeah,
So
transitively.
at worst, it's a secondary effect.
I don't want to talk about Paul. I'm still mad at him.
Uh-oh. All right, so I'm going to timestamp this one. So why are you mad at Paul?
Okay. It was the Dallas Guitar Show 2019, and I had a bunch of cool PRS stuff, custom stuff, and he was walking around and came in the booth, and he's looking at it, and I'm eating brisket nachos because the Dallas Guitar Fest, they had brisket nachos there. I would just go to the show for that. So I'm sitting there, and he sits down, and, shooting shit, and he's like, starts eating with me, and I don't realize it because we're chatting.
Mhm.
At that time, I had the most beautiful 68, 69 super bass stack, matching speaker codes, signed by Jim, rosemary on the badge. gorgeous. So he loved it. He's like, the price is too much, way too much. And then he goes over to McSwain's, who I haven't seen since, but I guess he does the Seattle, the Hendrix Museum. And
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
oh, he'll want to get it. So he brings it over and he tries to do the deal for about 40 less than I had it listed for. And I'm like, whoa, 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 this, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me talk to the guy. And he was just like, you don't know what you're doing. He's like, this isn't worth that. And I'm like, this is the first time you and I meet. This is how our relationship starts. I was like, no. So that I remember, I think I was running back to the hotel because it's attached, and I was running to the hotel. He was running back, and he was like, Mercedes. I'm like, But guess what? That went to somebody very special, and now it's played by Jared and Momoa, and it's a big beautiful man den in Mississippi.
He's
for full pop, by the way, for full price.
Chris. He's up the road from me. I
I didn't know if I could say his name. Oh my gosh,
he has it on his Facebook. He has his real name if you look at it.
But so he over Instagram too. So I can't wait till I see Paul at some clinic, and I'm like, ooh, buddy.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Fried Okra on Instagram, you should check it out. Fried Okra Guitar Lounge. He has the Paul Kossoff burst.
He's got a lot, but he's the Kossoff and the landfill V. Lynchburg, as he calls it. Yeah.
Yep. He's got the landfill V. He literally found one of the 82. Actually, it's less than that for the Vs. It's 82 Vs and 18 Explorers made out of Carina in that original run. He found one of them in a landfill.
Oh, I think we talked about this.
He's one of those guys in the industry that deserves it. He's such a good guy.
Yeah,
he's not one of the slimy ones. He's a really good guy. So I'm so happy to see his journey, and I hope I get an invite sometime.
Yeah, he is just up the road from me. I'm in Starkville, Mississippi.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And he and I have talked a couple of times about going up there and filming some stuff and just hanging out, but haven't been able to do it yet.
So yeah, that's my Paul story.
Yeah, I had when you said there's a guy that got it, I was like, I know a guy that has a Marshall super bass that matches that description.
I think he's got it on the A cab, right? I don't know. I think the B cab's somewhere else, right?
Yeah, I don't think he keeps
he's got
the full
just the
sack
head
set
and all
up.
that set up. Yeah. But that's such a beautiful, and everyone thought it was fake because it was gorgeous.
Too pristine, too perfect. I gigged a 1971 super bass for a while. And sound guys hated to see me coming. They just did not like it. And I'm playing in blues bars. I'm not even playing like rock and roll. I'm playing like Albert King through a Marshall super bass and a 4x12.
They look they look at you like you walked in with the SVT, right? Like, oh shit, here we go. Here we go.
Yep. It's like, oh, one of those guys.
Yeah.
I'm all in on confronting Paul. By the way, I did. Somebody called me petty for doing it, but I talked recently about when I had a Fender Bullet, an American Bullet, and people were offering me like $150 for it, and I was like, no. And then when I sold it on eBay for like $400, which at the time was like top dollar,
right?
I sent the listing to the people who were trying to lowball me. Like just strangers on Craigslist. Oh, FYI, link send.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I'm 100% here for this.
I love petty. I do love some petty sometimes. Not just Tom Petty, but
I think I was trying to buy like Tiesco just because when I had my store, I just like to buy them in detail. And that's kind of how I learned. I got into this because of nepotism and the guilt I felt. I felt such guilt. So like I had the best teachers and I taught myself. So I'd buy these little shitty guitars so I could learn to work on them. And this one guy had one and it was like one of the Tiesco tulips, they're like dime a dozen. The guy wanted probably 400. So I emailed him, I'm like, oh, I can give you 150. Well, he was a retired Marine. Ooh, that email. Semper Fi, like told me a story in the service. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I support you, but it's not worth that. And he's like, you do not respect this country. You are not a patriot. I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, we have this conversation all the time. it happens over in the 60 Cycle Hum Facebook group a lot. It happens in, conversations in Discord, in either one of our servers. But people are like, what do you do about lowballers? I'm like, lowballing doesn't exist. Someone made you an offer. You don't want to take the money. You tell them no.
I just heard you guys say that the other day, and I was like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's it. Lowballing doesn't exist. You made an offer. If you don't want to pay that, if you don't want to take that amount, you say no and you move on with your life.
Well, also you're talking about it from the context of a store, and people get mad at whether it's Guitar Center, whether it's a small shop, whoever. Oh, I have this guitar and I think it's worth X, and they're only offering me. I know the reputation for Guitar Center is that they usually offer like 50%,
60,
which is
It
actually
60.
is it 60?
Is it?
60.
Oh,
Which is
okay.
actually like pretty damn good considering
I
you
thought
don't
it was
have to
lower.
do any work. You just walk in. I know Sam Ash was like, I heard Sam Ash was lower. Well,
Yeah.
Sam Ash doesn't offer anything.
Yeah, they don't offer anything. It's 60% of market used price, not new
Right.
priced.
But people go in and they go, well, I got a really good deal years. I mean, this is like 20 years ago now, maybe. Yeah, almost. I bought a Fender Jazz V bass, Fender Jazz V, American for $300. And the reason I was able to get it for $300 is because I just happened to be in a guitar store where an acquaintance of mine, was selling that bass because he wanted to buy a bass pod XT floorboard because he was going into the recording studio, and having that interface and effects all in one package was more valuable to him than this bass. But he goes in there and they go, oh, this is composite. This is from the composite truss rod era and this and that and whatever. And they straight up told him that they would probably sell it for $650, $700. So they were willing to offer him $280. They're like, this instrument's, they pulled out the blue book, the guitar blue book. They showed it to him in the listing and said, this is what it is. This is what we're willing to offer. And so I just told him, I go like, hey man, let me make a phone call. Like he's like, oh, let me think about it. And so when the worker walked away, I go, hey, let me make a phone call. Let me see if I can come up with a little bit of cash, and I can give you more, not a lot more. So they offered him 280, and then on the spot I offered him 300 and got it.
Love it.
But and that was like, at that point I'm like, that's really low. But the reality of it is, when these stores are offering you really low prices, it's one, they have to make money on it, right? They're not buying it because they want you to get a good deal. They're buying it because they see it as something that they're going to invest $300 into you to get this from you in exchange for this investment, and they are hoping to double or at least get a 50 to 100% increase in value on their investment.
Right.
And the difference is, you brought this thing in and you are talking to one person, and maybe that one person will buy it from you, and then they are going to put it on a wall where hopefully it gets seen by hundreds of people. Right. So,
But it's not just putting it on a wall. I think there's way more overhead that's involved. Like when you buy, like, even if it's like at my vintage store, even if it was just a used piece, it was like taking it down, detailing it, servicing it, shooting it, putting it on your website. If you're going to reverb people in this industry don't really think about it like this, but every time a guitar is on the wall, like every day, it's a fraction, like a minute cost, but there's a cost. And then for someone like me, loading it up, you're paying insurance on it, right? To have it in your store, loading it up, taking it to a guitar show, the risk of it getting stolen, it getting knocked off. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. So I would have to remind people, like, hey, like, it takes a lot more than just putting it on my wall.
Yeah, and
and who knows how long it's going to take to sell.
Yeah, you lose money every day that it sits there on the wall, period.
Yeah.
Also, it's one of those things, like, I love the idea of the old blue book, because now we know, like, the way the market shifts in gear, especially used gear pricing. Like you
Right.
can't print a blue book as fast as the pricing changes.
Mm-mm.
Um,
It's true. Yeah.
I was actually in a shop yesterday, a Mississippi shop, and a guy came in with a guitar, wanted to trade in on a Gibson SG that they had, and had to get that unfortunate news that it wasn't worth anything. He had one. It was a Gear It guitar, Gear IT, like cheap Amazon brand. They're like
Oh, okay.
brand
Okay.
new. I think they're like $100, $130,
Oh,
and
geez, yeah.
Oh.
yeah, and the guy was like, I can't give you anything on this. Like, there's just no value here to me whatsoever. And to the guy's credit, he didn't take it personally, but it's like just
Good.
understanding the value of guitars can be really hard for people who who are the majority. I know that we on YouTube that do this and podcast world and that we just talk gear all the time don't understand this, but the majority of guitarists don't really understand the value of guitar gear. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They play guitar. They don't nerd out about it like some of us do. The
Yeah.
majority of guitar players,
NASCAR drivers can't probably change their own oil, but can they drive those things?
right?
It's like the same thing.
That's exactly it.
That's how I
It's
always think about it, is like the best at performance driving, but they probably can't change a
Yeah.
tire.
I,
yeah,
I
because they don't
knew
have
this.
to.
Hey,
I
and
knew
in
this.
fairness, neither can I, but
I knew this guy. I played with him a while, or and he was a flat picker.
Mm,
You know, and I remember he was one of the first people I ever met who owned a Larrivee, and he owned like an old Larrivee, like I think from
cool.
back when like Gene Larrivee was actually making them, like
Building. Wow.
by himself, like
yeah.
one man shop kind of a thing. And I asked him about it. I go, and he had a pickup installed, sounded fantastic. I go, what pickup do you have in there? And he goes, oh, I don't know. That's what I have a tech for. He goes, I just play. He goes, I have a guy that I trust, and if I feel like something sounds off, I just, we talk about it, and then I say, well, whatever you think will fix it, just do it.
Yeah.
And that's how he handled it. And this Larrivee was probably a $2,000-$3,000 acoustic guitar, and he's like,
Cool.
I don't, it sounds good. That's what I know. It sounds good, and that's
And
all that matters.
a lot of people are just okay with that. Ian says Danica Patrick didn't know how many cylinders her race engine had, but she could drive the shit out of it.
Amen.
So
That was her job. Was to
yeah,
do.
exactly. Her job's to drive it. And I talked to. That's why a lot of players have techs. It's how they find out about gear. Is their tech is the one doing all the searching and the looking
Yep.
into things. They tell them, "Oh, I really wish I could get this sound, or I could wish this
Mhm.
about my tone, or this about my gear." And the tech's like, "Okay, let me figure out how to get that for you." I've got a buddy of mine who's been on the podcast named Desmond. He's in Florence, Alabama, but he's been on the road as a tech for Gary Clark Jr. and the Wild Feathers and Gavin DeGraw and Ann Wilson, and that's what his job is. He is
Yeah.
there to make sure their gear works, and if there's something they want that they're not getting out of their gear, it's his job to know how to find it, not the artist. It's not the musician, because they don't have that kind of time at the level of those artists, especially.
Right.
They're busy,
Right.
whatever. They know they've got to go play a radio appearance. They need to make sure that their equipment sounds as good as it can for the radio appearance. So it's the tech's job to be like, okay, I think for you, HX Stomp is going to be the best solution for you to plug in and do that live or whatever. They're like, okay, awesome.
Agreed.
Yeah. So this.
Well, thank you for letting me join in. I really appreciate it. I could talk
Yeah.
here all day long. I do actually, but just for my cat.
Well, no, it's been great to have another voice on here, especially someone who's been doing the thing at the level that you've been doing it. Like you've worked with, when Steve told me you wanted to come on, do the live stream with us and talk about this, and he told me some of your like credentials. I'm like, I don't know that I'm qualified to talk to her.
No, I'm not either, but you don't have to be a doctor to own a hospital.
Actually, you're probably better off if you're not a doctor to own a hospital.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for letting me join. Have a
Yeah,
good
thanks
awesome.
for
Monday.
coming on.
Thanks, Mercedes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hi.
All right.
That was fun.
That was a blast. we'll have to drag her back on the show at some time. I'm gonna have to talk to her about coming on the podcast to hear her whole
Yeah,
story
for sure.
because she's got just a little bit I was able to read. She's got such an incredibly cool story,
Yeah.
even up from the nepotism of getting into the industry. So
I mean, that's is it nepotism when it's a family-run shop and you grow up in it?
yeah,
It's
I
all
don't
like
think
I
it
feel
is.
like at that point you're earning your stripes.
Yeah, I think so. It's sort of like I think of someone like Spencer over at Lull, Mike Lull Guitars. Spencer is Mike's son.
Mhm.
Mike passed away, but Spencer grew up in the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a family business still to this day. Um, so it's that kind of thing. But so Steve, we got a few minutes left here. We got a little bit. What
Yeah,
you want to
let's.
talk
I want
about?
to say, let's see. We've had a few late joiners. Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Robert. Hi, Beavis Christ, who always wants me to get fired. I don't know
Yes, he
why.
does.
Um, but yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks
I mean,
everyone who could make it. You can move it. You can
I
move
can
it
move it.
around.
Yep. It was bothering me that it was 2 words and the text box was that long. I'm like, yeah, it's annoying. Um, I don't know what's gonna happen when I pick a bigger comment, but let's see. Oh no, that's awful.
That's terrible.
Dadgummit.
Uh,
I hate
I
this.
always talk to Ryan about that, and we're kind of on the same page. Where it's like co-owners don't get fired; they just quit.
That's true. That's true. Co-owners don't get fired; they just quit,
So
or they get bought
maybe
out.
maybe at some point I'll be presented with a buyout package. I'll have to project the estimated growth of the channel and see what my contribution is worth.
Oh no, that sounds like a bad time.
Oh,
So
it's stupid.
so Steve,
No.
what's your gear life looking like lately? What are you
Um.
doing?
So I actually pulled it off the wall. I bought a new guitar. I'm talking
Oh,
about it on the show in 2 weeks, but
okay.
I forgot to bring it with me when I recorded with Ryan. So I took it off the wall because in the thing where I talk about it, I had him. Now you've seen it. I've shown it to you.
Yes.
When I was in the process of buying it, I
Yep.
bounced it off of you. But in the episode, I tell Ryan, I go like, well, I want you to guess what I bought, and he throws out a bunch of guesses, and he's like starts heading in the right way, but he actually can't guess what it is. I don't think it's possible for him to guess what exactly I got is. Um, but I took it down because I didn't want him to see it in the background and then have information because I want him to react on the podcast to
Oh
what it
yeah.
is. Which also means I have not changed the strings on it. I have not done any of like the starting work that I think it needs just to, excuse me, that I want to try. Like there's some things I want to mess around with the finish. I need to probably buy some steel wool or just maybe just use like a Brillo pad or something to see what I can satinize on this guitar.
Yeah.
Um,
The
but
I like the green Brillo pads, by the way. I use those on the
the
back
green
of
ones.
Gibson necks.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, so there's that. And then there's another thing that I have that I haven't had a chance to plug in yet, but this is Gear Life. And I guess it'll be on the podcast Monday, but I'll show it here. So let me
Yeah,
grab that.
grab that. Riveting stuff. See, now you're being
It,
now you're being forced to take it out of the box, so now you can plug it in today.
I
Yes.
got a Maris box. So I tell the full story on the show, but the brief story and the packaging on this is like so. It's like you open it and there's this. I don't even know what this booklet is. I haven't opened it yet. What's in this? Is it a manual? Oh, there's a sticker. And this is just the quick start guide. So this is a little how to do things, and
Mm-hmm.
you all might be able to tell that it's blue, and that means something. And I just hit spacebar, so my screen turned white, and I don't like that.
Uh-oh. You're
Got
still
to go
here.
back. Got to go back to dark mode. Well, no, it just changed the mode. But this is take it out. I still haven't even taken the plastic off. This is a Mercury X.
Yes.
Maris is they're in their 10th year of being a company this year, and so they're doing a bunch of stuff surrounding that and doing some promotional around that. And they reached out to 60 Cycle Hum and said, "Hey, we're trying to get a bunch of interviews done with our folks." And as y'all know, Ryan and I are terrible interviewers because we want to talk about dumb things that don't actually have anything. It's just not like it's I don't know. Like I feel like it's a cop out. Um, I just completely repackaged this, and I don't know why.
Why would you do that?
It's just what I do. It's the way my brain works. Um, oh, I got another thing too, but so let me grab that, and I'll finish the story.
Okay. While he's grabbing that, hey y'all, I'm doing a giveaway. I'm going to preempt you here, Steve.
Sure.
I am in the process of doing a giveaway for some Bees Music collaborative pedals.
Oh yeah,
I meant to
yeah.
mention this at the top and completely blanked on mentioning it. I'm going to do a video. I'm just going to do a little short or something to put out on YouTube. But if you go over to Instagram, you can find my post. I'm going to repost it later today. Got this week left to enter. I'm going to give away 3 prizes. Top prize is going to get, I think they're over here. They're all back here. I got to lean out of the way. Giving away a Kitiana Mini, which is the Keeley Mini Katana, but with the Bees Music artwork. And then I've got a couple of the 1 ton bees that are going to be given away with some swag and maybe some t-shirts and stuff like that. But real easy to enter. If you are on my YouTube, you already, there's one way to enter right there. But you got to go over to the King Sumo link that's over on Instagram. Click that, put in your email address, and then there's some other ways to get extra entries by, following and liking and some other stuff that I can't remember. So if you want to win some pedals, go enter.
Yeah. I'm looking. Maris does not have any of their anniversary stuff on YouTube, but I think I don't know where they're posting it up at. But yeah, they're doing a bunch of interviews, and basically they're super cool because they reached out, and like I said, Ryan and I don't do interviews. I don't say we've done them.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done an interview since we did Jim Campolongo, and that's got to be like 2 years ago. Because we're just not good at it.
And also, y'all, your typical setup. I know y'all have done a couple where you've done, like virtual episodes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, y'all meet in person and do your episodes in person. Yeah. So if the person can't get there, it's kind of hard to zoom in the 2 of you live in a space and make it really feel coherent.
Yeah. So basically, they reached out to us. I said, we don't do it. And whenever people reach out to us for interviews that are actual, like really interviews, I send them over to you.
Yeah.
And say, well, we don't do it, but reach out to Phillip over at 40watt, podcast at gmail.com, and he will, and he's our go-to interview guy. And we use, and so I said, but we do a mail opening segment on the podcast. So if you want to send us the pedal, we'll still open it on the show. And so they sent it, and we opened it on the show. But now I've opened it again here, and then I put it back in the box. So at some point in the future, I'll open it again for a 3rd time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole shebang of that all. But I think it's really cool that they sent it to us, and we get to be a little bit about that promotion. And I think they're just, I don't know how many brands they're working, or how many companies they're working with for promoting this stuff, but they also have cheaper stuff. I mean, $600. I have not used, I've heard the Mercury X is like a god tier it's an S tier.
Wait till you plug it in. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
But they also have like the cheaper stuff, like their cheaper.
There's the Mercury 7. It's $300 new.
$300. It's not that much cheaper, but I
half
just
price.
think it's really, really cool that they're doing this, and seems like they're got some fun stuff lined up for this 10 year.
Yeah.
So.
I have already talked to Blake over at the Tone Mob because when we did Gear of the Year last year,
Oh yeah, yeah.
he pushed the Mercury X, and I was like, it's a big box reverb or the complicated UI. Y'all, that UI is not as complicated as I said it was. It's way easier to use than I expected. So, highly recommend if you're looking for a big box expensive reverb. Knowing that it's expensive, it is more than just a reverb. I agree with Coyote, but it is pricey. Like there's no part of me that hides that fact.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that about brings us up to time. Just about. Oh, my new stuff, real quick, since you can't show your
Yeah,
guitar,
yeah.
I'm going to show you mine. I showed it earlier. This one.
Wait, that's new?
That's new. I picked this
Why did I think I've seen this one before?
because I own 3 other Novos.
And are they all sunburst?
No, I do have one other Sunburst one.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm thinking of that one then.
So I played this in Nashville at Carter Vintage while I was up there for. Originally, my wife and I were going up for a comedy show at the Ryman, but that got canceled. I don't know why I'm being sketchy about saying who it was. We were going to go see Matt Rife at the Ryman. And
Yeah, you should feel sketchy about.
I know. Look, comedy in general just isn't really my thing. I go see live, right? That's not my thing.
Right.
But Kelly wanted to go see it, so we were gonna go see him. Bought tickets. She's gone to see plenty of stuff that only I wanted to go see, right? So this was
Yeah.
returning the favor. Well, the show got canceled, and because health concerns or something like that, and so we decided we were still gonna go. And we went. We did touristy stuff. We went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. We went up and down Broadway a little bit, which I hate Broadway in Nashville. But went to Carter Vintage just to check it out for a minute because it's in the new location, and it was my second trip to the new location. And they had this, and I loved playing it. But I left it. I was like, that's fine. I'm not here to buy a guitar. 3 days later, I couldn't stop thinking about this guitar, so I called up a buddy of mine that works there. I said, okay, work with what is there wiggle room on the price? And he said, well, it's on consignment, but let me talk to the guy who owns it. And then he was like, does this sound like a good starting point for price negotiation? And he suggested one. I was like, oh yeah, if you can get it there or halfway between the two, I'm in. And so we did. I'm being a little cagey about price just because, it's expensive.
Sure.
But so I bought it, and then I got really serious and I started selling gear. And I've sold 4 guitars. I've sold, I don't know, a half dozen pedals. And I've still got some more stuff for sale. I'm thinking about taking some of it down today if it doesn't sell by today. But some of it is going to stay up and it's just going to get sold. And I'm going to have some money in the gear fund to maybe buy something really, really fun or Holy Grail kind of piece. But that's where I am. I'm kind of reducing the size of the collection. And I realize that I have so many guitars that even if I sell half of my collection, I have a massive guitar collection, right? For the average guitar player. But I'm just trying to have a little less stuff. Like more meaningful stuff, but less quantity.
Sure. No, that's fair. Is it bad that when I heard you play that unplugged? Now the problem is we've already had the reveal.
Yeah.
But in my head at least, I am convincing myself that when I heard you play that unplugged, that my first thought would have been that sounds like Pine.
Yeah.
I know. We just talked about the whole thing. So the other thing I got,
it's so resonant though.
That's what I mean. I feel like Pine has a specific kind of resonance. But I got this. This is fun. This was set up by the folks at Chibson and Blammo. But I now also have the priority delay.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
The packaging is fun because they're a box and everything just looks like a priority shipping box. And once again, I take it out of the bag and then I put it in the padded bag and then I put it back in the padded bag and then I put it back in the box. That's so dumb.
Why? Why are you doing this?
Because until I'm ready to put it on a board, I guess it's easier to store. I don't know.
I guess.
I still need to figure out. I never got around to messaging the guy over at Tour Gear Designs again about using the discount through your Patreon.
Oh yeah, you should do that.
For Tour Gear Designs
Message
because
Marco.
yeah,
I have
I just don't have enough patch cables, and I mean, I guess if I can't get that figured out, then I should just go on Amazon and order a million EBS or Ernie Ball or whatever flats.
so if you use my affiliate link, it's an automatic 10% off.
Right.
And
right.
if you build your cart and you email them, they will email you back about the 20% off. Sometimes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, you got to email them about the 20% as a Patreon supporter to get that discount. Just because they don't have access to like my Patreon, so they don't know, so they like to verify.
Yeah. For sure.
So, do that. And I mean, while we're here, if any of you others need patch cables, go over to the 40 watt page, and you can. Well, actually, go to my link tree. Is the way to get there. Because it's the easiest way. Let me see if I can remember how to type it. I think that's right. Because they have like that weird domain where it's linktr.ee.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right. But go check that out. The affiliate link is over there. You'll get 10% off, and I get a tiny kickback, and that's helpful.
Kyle B says I make my own cables like Mason Marangella says.
Because
I'm just going to assume that's a joke. That's a joke, right? That's a very funny joke.
I don't recommend. I'll be honest. I don't recommend making your own cables to the average guitar player. It can be, if you're not used to using a soldering iron. I know it's simple soldering. It is, but if you're not used to using a soldering iron, it can be an infuriating process making cables.
I just can't. Honestly, I can't imagine making. I guess pancakes aren't the worst.
No, but they're pretty bad.
And like SP 400s would be like, I guess, the smallest. But here, I'll show you something real quick.
Okay.
I got this a while ago. I recommend this. Haven't actually used it, but I recommend it because it makes sense. This is called the Hot Holder. This is from austinmics.com. I'm sure Ryan's done Austin Mics demos before. And this has everything. This is made out of silicone, so it's squishy. It bends and flexes and stuff. But it's got all the little plug holders for different types of cables. So anything you want to use. Because in the past, I've used like alligator, what do they call it? Helping hands to make cables. And that sucks. This kind of setup is like much, much better for doing that type of thing. But I would just say I've made pancake cables before. This will make it a lot easier if I ever want to do that in the future. But on the whole, I just don't. You got to be like really into. I don't think I can make a better patch cable than I can buy without making investments that I just don't really want to deal with.
100%.
So
I agree. I need to get one of those. I keep thinking about it, but I haven't done. Now Austin Mics, the website, doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, I wonder if it's changed to something else then.
Maybe, but they do still have them available, or maybe it's a new website. But like if you just search Austin Microphones Hot Holder, the first link is a broken link. That's their website that comes up. Let me see, austinmicrophones.com.
It works for me, austinmics.com.
Huh. Maybe they still have the hot holder on there?
Yeah, they do. It's actually there's actually other designs of the hot holder too.
Oh, yeah. So that link is an old link, the one that comes up if you Google it. Their SEO is what needs fixing.
So I think I have the original hot holder, but there's also Hot Holder Pro, which the Hot Holder Pro has like a thing for if you are wanting to make MIDI cables or tube sockets, if you want to do tube sockets.
Yeah.
There's one called the pedal port that is for things. It's got a slot for PCB and toggle switches, and so it's specifically designed for things you might want to be welding on pedals.
Yeah.
There's other ones. There's one for like hobbyists. I don't even know what these are for. So they're like different holders. I should be sharing this, but I'm not.
Yeah, it's okay.
Anyway, there's one called the Guitar Gadget that's kind of like an upgraded or a different kind of style of the original. But anyway,
Yep.
yeah, there's some cool stuff,
Well,
cool things on there.
on a last
Austin,
thing
yeah.
here, Coyote, if you don't wind your own pickups, what are you even doing? I think I'm going to start winding pickups this year, just for fun.
I hate that every time I listen to Phil McKnight talk about winding pickups, that it makes me think about learning how to wind pickups.
Steve, let's start a pickup company. Let's start a pickup company. Come on.
Well, so what's wild is I know he's talked about trying to get, because I forget what his pickups are called. I forget what the brand is. So someone in the chat, tell me what Phil McKnight's guitar pickup brand is.
I don't know. Let me find.
It's like black something.
While looking for that, I found a Gear Page post that says the guitologist slams Phil McKnight.
Oh yeah, I found that one came up for me too.
Wow.
Man, what is the?
I don't know. I can't find it either.
Blackstock.
Blackstock. Got
Noise
it.
Bloom, thank you. Blackstock. So he has that brand. I don't really know how they sell. I guess they have their own website. I'm looking at their website now.
Same.
He like hand makes them all, I guess, and he has been trying to like find somebody to take over manufacturing, and so he can, he's hand making them. They're like $200, $230. I believe a pickup. Is that a single pickup or is that a pair?
I am not.
I think that's a single pickup.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe it is a pair. But either way, he's trying to get them down to like $99 a piece.
Gotcha.
And I guess the thing is no, he hasn't been able to find a small pickup winder like company to take over that. So he's kind of just been kind of stuck with them.
Okay.
And it looks like right now there's only 5 sets of the Northern Lights chrome covers left. They are $229. They're actually on sale. There's 5 left. They have no other pickups in stock on their website, blackstockpickups.com. So if you guys want to...
No, I'm seeing the... you're right, because the guitar stands are what else is on...
Yeah, that's not
like,
a pickup.
No, it's not. It was weird because it was listed in amongst the pickups. So, yeah.
So, go check the... Blackstock.
Interesting. Well, all right. Well, Steve, I'm going to go have lunch.
Oh, have fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Watch some baseball.
Wow.
College baseball. Game 2 of the College World Series is today.
Who's playing?
Tennessee versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M currently won yesterday, so it's a best 2 of 3 wins the World Series. So today could be championship day for them if they win, or it could force a game 3 if Tennessee can win.
Well, all I will say about baseball is
Mendoza.
The Padres are the worst. I don't know if they're the worst best team in Major League Baseball or the best worst team in Major League Baseball. But they are infuriating. Oh, we're back over 500. They've won 4 games in a row, which means potentially we could, I believe, sweep the Brewers today.
Oh, nice.
The Padres have the best batting average in Major League Baseball. That's crazy.
Well, then how bad is the pitching? So
18th.
Oh, yeah. Very middling.
We could sweep the Brewers today in a 4-game series.
Yeah.
And then what I would see happening is we will, and the Brewers are damn good.
Yeah,
Like they
they've
are
been good
playing
the last
very
few
good ball.
seasons.
And then we will play Washington at home and probably get swept by them. And then we will play Boston in Boston and probably get swept by them because that's what the Padres have been doing.
Man, I went to Fenway and saw a game earlier this year, and that was against Tampa Bay, and the Red Sox went 1-3 in that series. Thankfully, they won the game that I was there for. So it was a 12th inning affair. So
Oh, geez.
yeah. All right, y'all. We're gonna cut off because I know that our viewership actually didn't go that much down that much when we started baseball, but we're gonna get out of here. Y'all, make
Yeah.
sure you click subscribe to both channels, 40 Watt Podcast and 60 Cycle Hum, or 60 Watt Podcast and 40 Cycle Hum. Whatever. Do the thing. Look, I'm surprised I was able to do that without stuttering over it.
No,
But,
that was impressive.
yeah. So in the meantime, be good to yourselves, be kind to each other, and make some noise.
Stay grounded, everyone.